Before watching the video, why don't you consider liking and subscribing? I make a video every Friday on this channel. Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. It is me, Bricks and Kyber, and today I want to try something new. Alright, so basically, the MCU is known for its many different Disney Plus shows, and one of those shows is What If, and I really recently thought about that concept, what if, and what if it was applied to Star Wars, and I remembered that a couple of months ago I made a list with my friend Elemental Jedi, where I discussed to him and I pitched to him different ideas for what if episodes, and he pitched them to me. And recently I thought about those ideas and I thought, why not to expand them? So recently you may have noticed I made even a little short about the what if scenarios in the Star Wars universe, and I plan to make more of these, but I thought about really expanding this topic in specifically, as basically my vision for this series is that I'll take the most interesting topics and expand them into videos, or the topics that do better than the others, that you guys are more interested in. I will try to expand them into full-length videos. Alright, so today's topic is what if R2 was never on the Naboo cruiser? What would that exactly change in the Star Wars canon and the Star Wars story? Now, the first thing that we need to address is, of course, look at the Phantom Menaces, and that would basically pan out far differently, as Anakin Skywalker would never be found by Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, as they would both die in the explosion of the ship, and Padme would be also dead in the explosion of the ship, which means Luke and Leia could never possibly be born. So what would happen after that moment? The ship explodes. What happens then? Well, basically, Palpatine is very happy as the invasion of Naboo basically goes smoothly, as the main queen is dead, so he would force the other high-ranking operatives to sign the treaty that would take her place, and that's for him sorted. So he would most likely, as we know from the Tales of the Jedi, at the time of the Phantom Menace, he was already training Dooku as his apprentice, and he was just waiting for Maul to be killed by some Jedi. So what I think would happen is basically the Sith have the rule of two, that only there must be a master and apprentice. So what I think would do is Palpatine would basically kill Darth Maul in a fight, as he would see no use to him, and then he would take on Dooku as his main apprentice. And after that, of course, Qui-Gon would also die, and he would die because of the Republic, because they sent him on the mission. So Dooku would also be turned very easily to the dark side, just like he was in the Tales of the Jedi, except it would happen even sooner. And continuing on with the story, what I think would happen is basically most of the events happen the same. Basically, I would think the Clone War would begin the same, Palpatine would still create that conflict to take over the Galactic Empire, or the Galactic Senate, and start the Galactic Empire. That would all turn out the same, except of course the Order 66 would be far different, as Obi-Wan would never fight Anakin, as Obi-Wan would be dead, and Anakin would be still a slave to Watto, and the only surviving Jedi really, if we really want to take it that far, would most likely be Yoda, and all the other Jedi that we currently know of that survive. So Cal Kestis would most likely survive, and Gungi would most likely survive, and Jedi like that we know that survive. But what is interesting is Ahsoka. Ahsoka would most likely be a regular Padawan, because of, she only survived Order 66 due to that self-defense training that Anakin gave her, and with Anakin never joining the Jedi Order, basically what would happen is that Ahsoka would most likely be in the Jedi Temple, I'd imagine, and she would be slain by the clone troopers that would invaded, and Count Dooku would have been most likely the force leading that attack on the Jedi Temple, as I see him, of course, as the Emperor's second hand at this point. And the Emperor wouldn't really need a second apprentice outside of Dooku, so Dooku would be with him, and I would imagine that the Galactic Empire would be going very well, as there would be no New Hope. Obi-Wan would never be on Tatooine. The Inquisitors would just hand down all the Jedi and the Force sensitives, and what potentially I guess could have happened is the Inquisitors found a Force sensitive person on Tatooine. That would be Anakin, but Anakin would have never gotten the training, so he would most likely be turned to an Inquisitor, and then possibly Palpatine could have seen the potential in him, making him his next apprentice, getting rid of Dooku. But at that point I don't see the purpose, as Palpatine would still be in power all the time, so he could have just kept Dooku, killed Anakin as a Force sensitive being, and then killed Dooku and just continued being Emperor until he died of old age. So as we can see, if R2 wasn't on that cruiser, many things would have been changed in the Star Wars timeline, in the Star Wars canon. It would go far different than in the original 9 episodic Star Wars films. What do you guys think of this video, Comps? What do you think of this entire What If series? What do you think of this entire, like, question, what if R2 wasn't on the cruiser? Like, what do you think of how I see those events, how I see that panning out? Do you think I'm correct? Do you think something different would happen? Let me know in the comments. I would gladly read that. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.